Once more, dear friends, into the breach. The Emperor's New Clothes by James Finn Garner, published in Politically Correct Bedtime Stories, the original volume, New York Times bestseller and all that crap. Far away in a long time past, there lived a traveling tailor who found himself in an unfamiliar country. Now, tailors who move from place to place normally keep to themselves and are careful not to overstep the bounds of local decency. This tailor, though, was overly gregarious and decorum impaired, and soon he was at the local inn abusing alcohol, invading the personal space of female employees, and telling unenlightened stories about tinkers, dung gatherers, and other tradespeople. The innkeeper complained to the police, who grabbed the tailor and dragged him in front of the emperor. As you might expect, a lifetime of belief in the absolute legitimacy of the monarchy and in the inherent superiority of males had turned the emperor into a vain and wisdom-challenged tyrant. The tailor noticed these traits and decided to use them to his advantage. The emperor asked, "Do you have any last request before I banish you from my domain forever?" Forever. Read it like a vowel. The tailor replied, "Only that your majesty allow me the honor of crafting a new royal wardrobe, for I have brought with me a special fabric that is so rare and fine that it can only be seen by certain people. The type of people you'd want to have in your realm, people who are politically correct, morally righteous, intellectually astute, culturally tolerant, and who don't smoke, drink, laugh at racist jokes, watch too much television, listen to country music, or barbecue." After a moment's thought, the emperor agreed to this request. He was flattered by the fascist and testosterone-heavy idea that the empire and its inhabitants existed only to make him look good. It would be like having a trophy wife, and multiplying that feeling by 100,000 times. Of course, no such rarefied fabric existed. Years of living outside the balance of normal society had forced the tailor to develop his own moral code that obliged him to swindle and embarrass the emperor in the name of independent craftspeople everywhere. So, as he diligently labored, he was able to convince the emperor that he was cutting and sewing pieces of fabric that, in the strictest objective sense of reality, did not exist. When the tailor announced that he was finished, the emperor looked at his new robes in the mirror. As he stood there, naked as the day he was born, one could see how years of exploiting the peasantry had turned his body into an ugly mass of puffy white flesh. The emperor, of course, saw this too, but pretended that he could see the beautiful politically correct robes. To show off his new splendor, he ordered a parade to be held the next day. On the following morning, his subjects lined the streets for the big parade. Word had spread about the emperor's new clothes that only enlightened people could see, those who had healthy lifestyles, etc., and everyone was determined to be more right-minded than his or her neighbor. The parade began with great hoopla. As the emperor marched his pale, bloated, patriarchal carcass down the street, everyone loudly oohed and ahed at his beautiful new clothes. All except one small boy who shouted, "The emperor is naked!" The parade stopped. The emperor paused. A hush fell over the crowd until one quick-thinking peasant shouted, "No, he isn't. The emperor is merely endorsing a clothing-optional lifestyle." A cheer went up from the crowd, and the throng stripped off their clothes and danced in the sun, as nature had intended. The country there was clothing optional from that day forward, and the tailor, deprived of any livelihood, packed up his needle and thread and was never heard from again. The end.